very much. Good morning.
Well, this report, there's several things about it now. First is the one that is in circulation. How do we refer to it? Do we refer to it as the report of that judicial panel of which the white paper is going to be released?
Well, as we're asking you guys in the media, how did you get a copy of the report, and circulated it? How did you get the report and already it's in circulation?
We saw the same one in circulation as everybody else.
No, but I think what is important, a member of the panel spoke yesterday that while the substance is okay, what is in circulation was clearly not the report submitted to the government. In other words, there were some errors according to him. So it could just have been one of the drafts submitted to the government. But what is important is that the findings have not been challenged, the recommendations have not been challenged, the review of evidence has not been challenged.
But should the government have released the report before asking that committee or while asking that committee to review the report?
No, the government couldn't have released the report. I think it's the...
Should they have?
No, the government hasn't released the report. No.
But the question
should the government have released?
Yeah. No. What happens in a situation like this is that pursuant to the Tribunal of Inquiry law of Lagos State, a panel was set up, a Judicial Commission of Inquiry. It has concluded its assignment and has submitted a report to the government, including the recommendations. The government will have to study the report and the recommendations and issue a white paper which will contain the directives of the government, the decision of the government in respect of each of the findings. So the government could not have released the report, and the government should not have released the report because it has to. A committee has been set up now, and that committee should have been allowed to carry out its assignment. It is after that committee has concluded its own assignment that the government would then release the report and its own position via a white paper.
But many were of the impression when you released your statement, alongside several other statements that several other people released, they were of the impression that you predicated that statement on the report that was in circulation.
For sure.
Which is now not, which they say is now not the main report that they're...
Well, you can understand what is being said. We didn't leak this report. And we have submitted our report to the government for its consideration. But nobody has come out to say that what is in circulation is forged, or that it doesn't represent our recommendations. I think what the young gentleman was saying was that there are certain errors. But he also concluded by saying that, that is our report. Okay. In other words, what is in circulation reflects our report. I think whoever released the report, or those who released the report, wanted to ensure, right, that there's no cover-up. That's the whole essence. Because in the past, we have had situations in this country where panels of inquiry sat and the report never saw the light of day. Oh, yes. I remember the Akambi Judicial Panel of Inquiry that investigated killings of students in 1986. Because the federal government could not believe the findings. So simply refused to release the report. But I think the news magazine published the report. There was also an incident under the Abacha junta. Judges were investigated. Many were recommended for dismissal or retirement on grounds of misconduct or corruption. The government did not release the report due to influence by certain forces. Again, I think the news magazine got the report under the Obasanjo regime in the year 2000 and released the report. Then there was, some people felt, this organization should be dealt with under the law. Under the, I don't know which law they were quoting there. And so a magazine came to us as their lawyer. We said, no, you have no cause once you are sure that is the report. I said, yes, we're sure. Nothing will happen to you. And that was it. Based on that leakage, the Obasanjo administration then sent the report to the NJC, for implementation. So you have situations like this, where reports are leaked in order to pressurize the government.
But the challenge,
to act on the recommendations.
The challenge here, is why do those cover-ups happen? There are those who feel that such cover-ups are activities at denying justice.
For sure.
And as a result of that, it only makes, it only reduces the trust quotient of government, or of the people in government.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you go back again to Oputa Panel's report, a wonderful exercise all over the country. The government never released the report.
Well, there are
but
those
it's in circulation.
But there are those who say
people have written books on it.
That Oputa panel was because it was the federal government that convened. It was supposed to be the states that would convene the panel.
No. There was a case on it, which some generals, including the current president, General Babangida and I think Abdusalami Abubakar, they didn't want to go to the panel.
Yeah, but that was the
so they
reason.
went to the court. And what the court said was that the federal, the president can only set up a commission for inquiry in Abuja. It is the power of the state governors to set up panels of inquiry in the state, which we invoke this time around, when some people question the powers of the state government to set up a commission for inquiry. But the Oputa panel was set up in Abuja, not in Lagos or so-called state. And so, the bulk of the evidence was taken in Abuja. But the government simply didn't want to act on the recommendations.
Why? It set up the committee.
No, but cover-up, some generals were indicted. The panel recommended that some cases be reopened. For instance, the case of the killings of the late, MK Abiola, the wife, and many others. Government should carry out investigation. Government should change, certain things in the way and manner the country is governed. Of course, the government was not very comfortable. So, government simply,
Okay, now
put the report in the archive. But people publish the report.
Exactly. So now those reports are in public domain.
Yeah, but if you read this report, the report of the Okobe Judicial Commission for Inquiry, you will see areas of cover-up identified by the panel itself.
Granted, sir. But the challenge here is there have been attempts to cover up in the past. And those attempts clearly didn't work.
The government didn't succeed.
Those reports, just a minute, those reports eventually saw the light of day.
Yes.
So nothing happened. There were no
a
consequences.
lot happened. Oh, a lot happened. A lot happened. People know how certain people were killed. Contrary to the story in the media. Others have gone to court. And one of them, we've just got instructions from a family to go to court based on the revelation in the Oputa panel. We say, why? What have you been doing? But it's never too late when you are talking of crimes against humanity. So we're taking steps to go to court. Others have taken steps to ensure implementation. I've told you about the Judicial Commission for Inquiry.
The reason I'm asking, sir, is if those reports didn't see government, do anything, or government wasn't compelled by those reports to do anything at the state level, at the government's level, to ensure that those things do not happen again. What's the assurance we have that these indictments in this report is going to be different?
You see, it's not for the government in a neo-colonial environment like our own to stop impunity. The essence of a report like this is to empower the victims, the relations, those who are alive, the human rights community, and those who believe in justice, to ensure that the recommendations are implemented. That's the whole essence of the report. I mean, I attended the meeting virtually on Monday. We're going to have a report that will be released very soon in the Gambia regarding the 22 years of egregious human rights abuse in the Gambia under Yahya Jammeh. The report will soon be released. It has not been released, but we're already meeting to say, how are we going to prosecute those who are going to be indicted? How are we going to ensure that compensation is paid to the families of those who were killed? I mean, for instance, we had to send the Nigerian to the panel, to the TRRC. That's the Truth Reparation, Commission in that country. Because 9 Nigerians were killed among 54 young West African migrants who were going to Europe via the Gambia or North Africa. And Jammeh killed them. 9 of them are Nigerians. I was only able to trace the family of one of them. And so we had to dispatch the brother to go to the Gambia to give evidence. I also handled the cases of 2 journalists who were killed. I mean, one was tortured, one was killed by the regime. Okay, we gave evidence. So, and the question of accountability is going on in Africa. In the 80s, in the 70s and 90s, nothing will happen. But today, whoever you are, once you are accused of crimes against humanity, genocidal acts, you are going to be brought to book, either at the ICC or in a local court, hybrid court. I mean, you know what happened to Charles Taylor? He's in jail. He's sentenced to 50 years imprisonment. He thought that would never happen. That would never happen. In the case of Isne Abre, former president of Chad, killed about 4,000 people. He was to be taken to Europe for trial. A warrant of arrest was issued on him by a magistrate court in Belgium. And African leaders said, no, with what has happened to Charles Taylor, we don't want this to become the normal practice. We're going to do it ourselves. So Senegal was asked by the African Union to amend this criminal code to allow the trial. And the man was tried, sentenced to life imprisonment. He just passed on, I think a few months ago. Now, in the case of Blaise Compaoré, former president of Burkina Faso, the trial has just commenced after 34 years of the brutal killing of Thomas Sankara, the best soldier to govern, a military, a leader to govern any African country. So the trial has just commenced. The point I'm making, therefore, is that there is no room for impunity any longer. If the Lagos State government hadn't set up this inquiry, the young people are so organized. They had already lined up a number of activities to expose those who committed what they regard as crimes against humanity on the 20th of October, 2020. So there is no room for cover-up any longer. 28 states out of 36 and the Federal Capital Territory set up judicial commissions of inquiry. Some of them have submitted their reports. Some are writing their reports. Some have not concluded sittings. So what has happened in Lagos is just 1 out of 28 reports that were expected. And these panels of inquiry were set up under the law, under the Tribunal of Inquiry law in each of the states. Whoever is recommended for sanction or prosecution, whether you are a federal public officer or a state public officer or a private individual, you can be prosecuted under the law. By the way, murder or culpable homicide, manslaughter, and so on and so forth are state offenses. So if a federal officer commits murder in Lagos, he's going to be charged before the Lagos High Court. The Federal High Court has no jurisdiction on it. The Federal Attorney General cannot prosecute him because it's a state offense. I think the military officers who were summoned by the panel to appear and defend themselves didn't quite understand that. They were not properly advised. to appreciate that this is a commission of inquiry set up under the law, and that we have a duty under the law to give evidence and defend ourselves. I think they thought, oh, we are going to walk away because we cannot be brought to book. The panel, of course, didn't want to waste his time by summoning them and insisting. The panel could have insisted, you have to appear. But the panel didn't just want to waste his time. These guys have given evidence before us. When it now came to hearing the cases against them, the evidence against them, they disappeared. And in law, the panel is forced to conclude that you ran away because you have no defense to these allegations. And the panel so found. Yes. Because the panel observed the rules of evidence, gave everybody fair hearing, bent over backward to accommodate those who should have been sent packing, did a thorough analysis of the evidence, and arrived at recommendations that tallied with the findings. So it was a thoroughgoing exercise. One of the best reports ever produced by the Judicial Commission for Inquiry in Nigeria.
That's assuming that that report is the valid one.
Yes. No, I'm saying that it's the valid one.
Okay. But
I've spoken to a member or two. It's the valid one.
a good number of people are also saying that in the light of all that has gone on about this, the speculation and everything, some are expecting that the president should make a statement about it.
No, not yet. Okay. I mean, the president made a broadcast last year. I mean, in 2020. Based on the information given to him, I'm sure you are aware that 5 times the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has said nobody was killed. The Attorney General said, Mr. Abubakar Malami said that those who appeared in Lekki, were not Nigerian soldiers. People just put on military, uniform to perpetrate atrocities. But now even the military denied ever going there. It was when the young people, these guys are so advanced in digital technology, they took photographs in the night and exposed those when the soldiers were shooting. It was at that stage the military, yes, were there. However, we only shot into the air. And the panel found that even Loma, Lagos State, went there, the police went there to do a cleanup in the night, in the early hours of the morning of 25, so that there will be no trace. But by the time the panel visited the local scene, the scene of the incident, they were still able to pick some bullets, expired bullets. The military came, denied ever firing leather weapons. Now, how did people die? Because the chief pathologist of the state, Professor John Obafunwa, a renowned expert, internationally recognized, gave evidence to the fact that 99 dead bodies were dumped in the various mortuaries in Lagos State between 19th of October and 24th, 5 days. And that 3 of them were traced to Lekki. That was his own evidence. That's apart from the evidence of the witnesses who said, one of them said, I think Legend, that's the name of the guy. They thought I was dead. So I was put in the van with 11 dead bodies. So the panel painstakingly analyzed the evidence of every witness before arriving at its conclusion. So it is difficult. It is difficult to cover up what happened on that day.
What do you think will happen to those government officials who had made those comments now?
They are all going to be sanctioned.
By who?
I mean, anybody who attempted to cover up will be sanctioned. Any organization like those who manage Lekki, what do you call them? That company.
LCC?
Yeah. There are recommendations. Because they disable their system in order to cover up. And the planets so fund. And you can't do that in a civilized society. Because you are serving the public. So you can't disable your CCTV camera in order to hide the monstrosity that took place before you.
Well, you spoke the other time about, that security.
I'm sure you are aware of the trial of one of the policemen who killed this guy in America, Floyd.
Yeah.
A young girl, I think about 9 or 10, used a phone to record the event. And that was very instrumental in the trial of the police chaps who killed, Floyd. So, unless we organize our system in a way that the life of every citizen or everybody in Nigeria is valued and respected, we'll come out of this.
It's harass or even maybe in some cases. What should we do about that?
Now, I've read the report, a 309-page report. Very good report. But for me, there are certain lacunae, certain gaps. One of which is who is empowered to deploy troops in it? The Lagos State government or the Lagos State governor asked the soldiers to come. Yes. The Lagos State government was said to have spoken to the military chiefs. Even when a request is made that we're no longer able to manage the situation in my state, that request must be processed through the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, who is the only one empowered under section 217 of the Constitution.
He has a final say.
To deploy troops. Yes, final say. So you can't say, oh, FALANA called me as the chief of army staff, so troops must move to Lagos. No. That's number one. Number two, under no law in Nigeria, under no law, can soldiers manage a protest? No law allows it. That's number two. Number three, by virtue of Section 94 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended in 2015, and by virtue of Section 83, subsection 4 of the Police Establishment Act 2020, that law came into force in September 2020. During protest, the police shall provide adequate security for the participants in the protest. So if that had happened in October, we would not have had this incident. In other words, if the young people chose two venues in Lagos, Lekki and Alausa, if the police had surrounded those two places and protected the protester as a joint by law, the military would have no business coming there because there was no violence in those two places.
As a result
Let
of
me
that.
finish.
Okay, sir.
Because we're talking about the law. Even in a war situation, under the Geneva Convention Act, Geneva Convention, which has been domesticated by Nigeria since 1961, you do not shoot unarmed civilian, even in a war situation. During hostilities, you don't shoot an unarmed person who is not a soldier,
Even shooting in the
who
air.
is not armed. What is shooting in the air? It's not your business
claim.
to go there at all. So, but let's just finish on that.
Okay.
During the shooting exercise, people are being injured. Ambulances turned up, and you turn them away. That is premeditated murder. You want those people to kill them, to die. And that happened in this case. And the panel so far. So there's no way any regime in the world can say, oh, because these are federal officers, no, we're not going to sanction them. If you don't,
consequently, sir,
if you don't, these are materials for the ICC. Because the ICC is set up, contrary to what many Nigerians feel, including opposition political. Oh, there is somebody has just shot somebody, we are going to the ICC. No. Under the Rome Statute, the ICC will only intervene if a government is unwilling or unable to prosecute those who engage in crimes against humanity, genocide and aggression. ICC doesn't just go to any country to usurp the functions of the police. If upon the recommendations, or by the time the government issued this white paper, recommendations are made, that certain people will be prosecuted, and they are not prosecuted, of course, that is not the end of the matter. That is what the human rights law regime is saying now. No country, no president can now behave as was the case in the 80s. Oh, this is our internal affair. No!
So as it is now, this white paper, what they are supposed to do is recommend how that report will be implemented. And do they have the power to leave out certain things or say, well, this cannot be implemented? How are they supposed to? It's
going to be difficult. And for the government to do that, there must be justification. There must be justification. Say, for instance, the panel is saying, those who engage in the killings have to be brought to book. So the panel cannot say, sorry, we're not going to do that. Or that should not be done. The panel is saying, Nigerians must be allowed to express themselves in line with sections 39 and 40 of the Constitution, freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. So would the government say no? All the government can now do, how do we ensure that during protests, there will be no killings? And I can tell you on this didn't come out in the report, but I've said it through your forum here, that why the killings occurred all over the country, the rate of the casualties was because the police at that time had no tear gas canisters, no rubber bullets, no water cannon to disperse crowds. And after the program here, very high up, a top official of the government, one of the governments called me, are you serious? Please go and find out. Today I can tell you, the police have acquired some of those gadgets. And between 2020 and now, only one incident in Lagos. I think during the Yoruba Nation rally in Lagos, where a young girl was killed in Ojota. The police denied, of course, an investigation is going on. Because under the coroner's inquest law in Lagos State, any unnatural killing shall be investigated. So we sent a petition, and that investigation is ongoing. The point I'm making, since then, the police have fired tear gas, canisters at protesters, and they have been able to control crowd. But we are saying, you cannot do that. What we are now advising, I met the IG, Inspector General of Police, Mr. Baba Akali, on Monday. And I commended him over the management of the last protest in Abuja, the anniversary protest, NSAS protest. You know, there was no incident in Abuja. The police accompanied the protesters, and no scene was recorded.
How about Lagos?
Of course. A disaster. And I had to, in commending the IG, please make it a national policy that during protest, the police shall, in line with the law, provide security. And we then agree that what will be important, having regards to the rate of insecurity in the country, street protests may be problematic for now, but there has to be venues designated for those who want to protest. We used to have that in Ojota here. the Gani Fahmy Park, but he blocked it. In Abuja, we used to have demonstrations at the Unity Fountain, close to Transcorp Building. It was fence run. So you are saying people cannot go to the street. They cannot even also participate in designated or take part in protests.
So that appears premeditated to stop people from protesting.
Oh. And you know you can't stop it. So I think the understanding is there now that we need to go back to the drawing table. Since Nigerians are entitled to protest, how do we now manage the rallies that we don't have this unfortunate incident? And that is why the law has said, thou shalt provide security during protest, so that the so-called hoodlums will not hijack. Hoodlums that are also hired, sometimes by the government, as we witnessed in October 20, I'm sure you are aware, that in broad daylight in Abuja, the capital of the largest country in Africa, you know, criminal elements armed to the teeth, they showed their faces, were being ferried in, you know, vehicles to attack protesters, to shoot at protesters. Nothing has happened to them. The government was embarrassed. We were told, oh, you know, they are not government officials. You know, it was one senator. Who is the senator who has no name?
Well, Mr. Farrell, just something that
in Lagos, yeah, you know, at Alausa,
yeah,
a bus, you know, full of thugs was also unleashed on the young people.
Is it possible to expect? You have said that those who are culpable in this report, they have to face the law.
For sure.
Is it possible or to expect that not just as individuals, but as an institution, like the army also, should be called to question? Because you said the other time that, among others, the army as an institution denied any such thing happened, while not taking away all of the wonderful things that the army is doing at various fronts. On this particular issue, do you see a situation where the army as an institution is called to question, or just the individuals that were there?
Frankly speaking, again, I didn't see that in the report. It is an ideological matter. The army set up by the British colonial regime, the Nigerian police force set up by the British colonial regime, were institutions designed to attack Nigerians. Yes. To extort taxes from Nigerians and to kill in the process. And many Nigerians were killed and nothing happened. For instance, in 1929, you had the Aba Women's Revolt against double taxation. You can't tax my husband and tax me. So the women protested. 55 of them were killed. In 1949, November 1949, 21 coal miners were shot dead in Enugu for participating in a strike for better conditions of service. Nothing happened. All the British colonial regime would simply do was to withdraw the police officers involved in such, you know, killings. That's all. But the police that we inherited in 1960, the army that we inherited in 1960, simply changed from serving colonial regime to serving the neo-colonial regime in Nigeria. So, if there is a protest, oh, this is an attempt to embarrass the government and expose the government to ridicule, we deal with the people. I mean, of course, I think President Babangida, during his Rice interview, said, the young people wanted to overthrow my government. I'm sure you read that. So the feeling in 2020 was that, oh, these young people are out to overthrow the government. So let us kill them in the process. That's what happened. But for the military now, they have to read that report. It's in the interest of the military that you don't get engaged in, you know, internal security. It's there. It's not your duty to maintain internal security. That is the duty of the police.
So as we wind down now, assuming Lagos and several other states come up with their reports or the final report, be it a white paper, what is the federal government expected to do?
The federal government is expected to work with the state governments to bring to book, those who committed crimes against humanity, those who subjected Nigerians to torture, those who engaged in the killing of suspects in custody. All of them are there. The report is beyond October 20 events. It's talking of years of police brutality. Recommendations are made towards that. And beautifully, the panel is saying every year, October 20 must be remembered. It's very important also to assuage the feelings of the young people, and that the government will have to apologize to them. The Lagos State government will have to apologize to the young people. Again, that's in line with the provision of our Constitution, Section 35 of the Constitution. If you detain somebody illegally, detention, the court can order you to apologize and pay damages. The panel is also recommending that damages be paid. And here, the Lagos State government must be commended. It was the only panel, it was the only Lagos State government that authorized the panel to award damages and ensure that the money is paid, even while the panel was sitting. But the most important recommendation, and which will have to come up in all the judicial commissions of the reports in all the states, is that there shall be, or there should be, a permanent standing human rights committees in illegal detention, harassment by other forces. I'm sure you know that what happened on October 20th this year during the celebration. The neighborhood watch guys also engaged in brutalizing young people. I'm sure you're aware that
it was shocking, which is not even near what they're supposed to do. They're just neighborhood watch.
No, but you know the point I was making. And this is why the government will have to go back to the drawing table. What type of military do we want to have? What type of police service, not police force.
Yeah.
The British created the Nigerian police force. And if you look at the logo, it's a circle. An elephant inside the circle. That elephant was meant under the colonial regime to mow down the people. You are encircled. No escape. You can be killed in the process. This was not done by Nigeria or by the colonial regime. So in 1960, the nationalist politicians who took over the reins of power never thought it was necessary to decolonize the psyche of an average soldier or a policeman. So that's why soldiers refer to all of us as bloody civilians. So we now need to have a new institution where in every police academy, where in every military institution, human rights are taught. Where the government will also make them go through training that respects them as well. You need to know what police people go through, police recruits. The moment you join the police force, as a man, your hair is shaved to the skull. You're a woman. You cannot make up. you can't make up. So, and so when you brutalize them for 6 months, as soon as they leave the police college, it's a case of misdirected antagonism. They want to have it back on a society that dehumanizes them. So all that will have to change. So just like we're asking them to change and respect the society, the government, the society must respect them. And that is the only way we can make progress.
Permit me to bring in this maybe totally unrelated issue. It would be remiss of us not to bring it up with you. Well, after so many days of the invasion of Justice Odile's home, and so many denials and parade of people and all of that, and the NBA taking that action, are you satisfied with the pace of work at getting to the root of how the home of Justice Mary Odile was invaded?
No, nobody can be satisfied. Nobody can be satisfied. I had won in 2016 during the nocturnal raid on the homes of judges that we all had to rise against such incidents.